The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, July 13th. Yes, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Michaela Ian, as well as Leanna Lambert, who, as you know, will be joining us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break. Kales, it's Tuesday. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm a little hot. It's warm. Like it's warm, and this hair is just not helping because it's just hot. But I'm good.
Is it like a humid hot dawn? Like you're sweating?
Yeah, it's we're at that point of the summer when sweating is just like what happens, right? So like
Yeah.
I cannot really put my makeup on in the morning. I have to like completely cool down and then I can put my makeup on. So I'm just like, all right,
Nah,
this is where we're at. Okay.
yeah, appreciate those cooler autumn and winter months.
I'm telling you.
Good morning to you, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one again today as Chief Inspector Robert Cardwell stops by. We're discussing road safety. The daily play is a remember when, relatively easy one for majority of the audience. I'll say that much. All right. Notice I didn't say Michaela, but you know, I have to throw shade because she's very good. She's very good at this. But what I'm going to start doing. If the audience guesses the answer before Michaela, we'll reward you. I know it's tough. Because she plays with us, folks. She'll be like, and then she'll say the answer. Like it's almost like she's like, I'm gonna make them think I don't know. But we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it.
We'll see.
Yeah, but we have a lot to discuss. Obviously, yesterday we touched on the situation with Miss Sophia Cannonaire and her family. And there was a lot of talk about it. The girls on Good Day Bermuda, Jackie and Teresa, spoke about it this morning as well from another angle. We have a lot to get through. We may touch on the racism in England. What I just want to say about that before we get into our conversation for today is I understand people's, I guess, their attitude towards England,
Mm-hmm.
and racism. But what I find puzzling is that, when you're dealing with European countries, you can't escape it. I'm a big fan of football, like huge fan of football. And during my years of watching European football, there has not been a country with fans more racist than probably Italy and Russia.
Yeah.
So when I see people celebrating Italy, who I mean, in my lifetime only had one black player and have been known for monkey chants, and really coming down on the English team that though the country might not represent good morals and values in terms of race, but the players do, it's puzzling to me. It's puzzling. I mean, we're not talking long ago with monkey chants in the Italian crowds, folks.
Yeah. See, the thing for me with England is that I feel like the UK is going on and on about how they're not a racist country. And of course, we had the recent issues with the royal family, where after the explosive interview with Oprah that Duchess Meghan and Prince Harry gave, Prince William came out and said, I want to get the exact word, we're very much not a racist family. That's what he said. And so to see, the figureheads of the UK claiming not to be racist, I think that's the issue. I think the UK pretends it's not racist. They pretend that like, oh, we accept everyone, we accept refugees, we're not racist. And it's just like, okay, but then these three young Black boys who missed penalties, who, in my opinion, should have never been up to take penalties in such a big game. The minute they missed those penalties, you're calling them all sorts of things, all about race.
Yeah.
The whole thing is about race.
Yeah, it's a again from a football perspective, I would say Italy is miles worse, but from a country, I completely get what you're saying and understand it, especially with the situation with Harry Prince and Meghan Duchess. They legit their situations have been more global.
Right. Exactly. And then you have like Prince William standing up, was it last year? I'm so bored of racism in football. I'm sorry. What kind of privilege are you speaking from that you can legit say, I'm so bored of racism in football? What?
Yeah.
Because that's just going to fix it. Poof, it's gone. Come on.
I think the dismissiveness of that doesn't help. And that isn't our topic this morning, folks. It's just something that I know someone reached out yesterday asking, are we going to discuss it? I just don't think past what we're saying already. I think we're pretty much all aware of racism and how European countries operate. But yeah, I completely agree with you, Michaela, when you look at it and you kind of start going beyond football into the royal family and so on, and even how the reactions now, some of the English press have been saying that it's not the English people, it's people on social media outside the UK who have
I don't
been
agree.
Stuff. But you know,
I don't agree.
That's probably to save face. But let's get to today's topic discussion. Look, there's some stuff happening with Viking cruises, and it looks like St. George's, the old town, one of my favorite parts of Bermuda, is going to be hit the hardest. Talk to us, Kales. What's going on down in your neck of the woods?
Yeah. So what happened was Viking Cruises was coming to Bermuda and kind of doing what they call a cruise to nowhere, right? So everyone knows that they were going to Dockyard, coming into Hamilton, and then they were going to St. George's. However, the difference between Dockyard and Hamilton is that in St. George's, you cannot, the boat's too big to go through the cut. So they had to anchor, I think it's called Murray's Anchorage, which is like right off of Ferry Reach, where I live. And so they've decided that the ferry to ferry the passengers in is too expensive. It takes 30 minutes to get from Murray's Anchorage into the town. So they decided it's too expensive. So they decided to cancel their callings to St. George's. Now, this is a huge blow for the St. George's community because, as we know, St. George's is always the one area between Dockyard, Hamilton, and St. George's, you know, the three towns of Bermuda, if you will. St. George's is always the one who gets bleeped on. Like always. And I mean, as a St. George's person, it's extremely frustrating to me. So I want to read, hold on, where is it? This is Robertson's Drugstore put something out over the weekend, and they said, St. George's businesses have come together in the last few years and worked together to revitalize the town. There are businesses who have put together special tours for this season that are now at risk of being canceled if they haven't already. This is so destroying and frustrating. We will continue to find a solution to this. St. George's is one of the gems of Bermuda. It needs to be included. Please support us. And I know the tour she's speaking of, our Kristen White's tour, she had created a new special tour specifically for the Viking passengers that was sold out for 10 weeks. Can you imagine? You have guaranteed income for this amazing tour that you do for 10 whole weeks, and then poof, gone. So
I guess my question, okay, I know that, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, audience, but the government they used to offer, like for flights, it was like a supplementary or something if the flights weren't full or something. Do you think that this is a time when the government can step in, or maybe the Bermuda Tourism Authority? Like, I don't know what's at play here. I'm not quite sure how it works. Like, is there nothing that can be done to kind of help expense the?
Well, of course. Of course. The thing about it is that makes this even worse. It's fine if you just want to go to Dockyard or go to Hamilton, but there isn't even a ferry to St. George's. You can't even get on a ferry. So there used to be a ferry from St. George's to Dockyard and vice versa. I think it took like 45 minutes or something. So that you would think would be an easy, okay, the people want to go to St. George's, we can ferry them down. Or, you know, a 30-minute ferry from Hamilton. but apparently that's not in demand, so there's no ferry happening right now.
So I want to get from the audience, what are your thoughts on the disappointment for St. George's? Just months ago, we've had the mayor of St. George's, his team on. We've had the White Horse folks on the show recently talking about the excitement they're bringing to the town. And so you think, St. Regis just opened. It was an exciting time. And now it looks like all of that is just, the wind's been taken from them. Like, what are your thoughts on the situation? What can be done to rectify it? Let's say the government says, no, we don't have the funding. What if the BTA says we've already allocated our money? How can we get people to enjoy St. George's where these businesses can, operate and keep people employed?
Yeah, well, it seems that one of the issues was that the passengers found the tender uncomfortable. They didn't like it. So that was another thing. And I've been on a cruise tender 2 summers ago when we were in Cannes, but it was like 15 minutes and they are cramped, they're hot, it's not fun. But I really wanted to get off the boat and go to Cannes. So you get off the boat, you go to Cannes.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Anika D. Shields says, put the ferry on. Dr. Kendra Lee Pierman says the fact that St. George's was the original settlement, this is a slap in our face. Sean Smith kills.
St. George's should focus all its energy on creating a super yacht marina. We all know that cruise ships cannot fit into St. George's. Ain't nothing new.
Well, no, I definitely think in that space, in that comment that Sean Smith just put, I think there is there's some creativity that needs to happen. For instance, I will always say during my years in tourism, even growing up, St. George's, the town of St. George's was one of my favorite places, if not my favorite. Like it was just enjoyable. Like we got our engagement pictures down there, right? But I do think maybe it's time, you know what? Let's see how we can be more creative with what we have. I know there was a time that we were talking about expanding the cut. That didn't happen for environmental reasons, right?
Right.
But I get the frustration. But what can we businesses do to make it better? What can we do with the mayor to try to fix this? Can we create a system like a get our own bus system going where we go and collect people from cruise ships or places? Like what are the costs? What's the strategy plan?
Well, the thing when we talk about the bus is that a bus can hold what, 20, 30 people max?
Yeah.
A ferry can hold 400. You know what I mean? So it seems like the obvious answer is for the ferry to be put back on to St. George's, whether it's from Dockyard or Hamilton, so that these people can go. And I am obviously a big proponent of increasing air passengers because I feel like that's where more of the money is. But I don't think we can discount these Viking people. They're flying in as well. So they're flying in and they're on a cruise ship. So we're getting money, like we discussed with Minister Scott the other week, on the front end when they arrive and on the back end. So I just think it's a big miss if St. George's is completely excluded from the conversation. And I say that as a St. George's person, but also every time I have visitors who come to visit, they love St. George's the most. Like absolutely do, because you get that old world island charm. And I don't mean old world as in like old fashioned and stuffy. That's not what I mean. I mean, you get that, it just feels so Bermuda for me.
Yeah, I like the idea where people are saying ferry, for instance, like I said, buses, right? What if ferries are probably very expensive, but what if, I remember the government at one point got a loaner from Rhode Island. What if St. George's got a loaner ferry for the summer? Or what if they invested in their own ferry system that goes back and forth? Like, I don't know the cost. I'm not talking about strategy. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah.
As MV Longtail could be an option. Rick Olson kills.
The overall impact of the Viking cruise has been very disappointing based on what I have seen and other business owners I have spoken to in the last week. The Viking cruises are known for tours and not the action tours. The average age has got to be close to 70. Yeah.
Interesting. Sonia Clark says, we have to get it right. BTA and government needs to make sure St. Joe is included. Government pay. Sheikah Rayner kills.
The average age of the Viking passengers is 60 plus, and some have limited mobility. So a tender that isn't substantial looking like a ferry could be unpopular. That makes a lot of sense. And like I said, one of the issues was the tender was uncomfortable. So I don't know what they were using. But but that definitely,
Sean Smith's asking, do they have anybody that operates a private charter boat out of St. George's? Well, that's a good question, and it would be an opportunity for someone.
Yeah. So the ferry system in St. George's actually used to be privatized back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
My great-grandfather ran it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if, that's an option in today's world, because it's, it's very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I do hope, even if they don't run the ferry daily, maybe they can offer it twice a week to St. George's or something like that,
Right, to keep costs low.
And if you have all these people who actually want to go to St. George's, I'd be interested in finding out the data. Like, did the people love St. George's?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it a case of they didn't really like it and the tender was uncomfortable,
Right. Another comment, Noik Ador says, old world needs renovation. Tamara Richardson says, why reinvent the wheel? Fund the ferry from Dockyard or Hamilton. Creative incentives for Bermudians to enjoy our own country as well, so it's not all dependent on tourists. Time to hold area MPs to account. Well, I agree. I think it is time to, be creative, create incentives, but also what are those responsible doing to make sure that situations like this don't happen, to prevent this. Janet Maynard says this is very disappointing to the town of St. George's. Bobby Kills.
That's BS. St. George's is the best part of Bermuda. Pull together and get your own ferry. Something's got to be done, and it's not just talking about it, it's actually like doing something. And I just feel like the businesses in St. George's continually come together and work out ways to revitalize the town. Like the post I mentioned in Robertson's, Christmas, was it this Christmas? I think it was this Christmas gone. Every Sunday for the month of December, they had shopping strolls, or maybe it was last Christmas. This Christmas, we were dealing with COVID, weren't we? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It might have been this past Christmas, but every Sunday they had a shopping stroll, and they did it where it was kind of like a bingo card. So if you spent at least $25 in a shop, you got a punch, and then you get entered to win all these prizes. And every Sunday that I went down, St. George's was buzzing. I don't think it's a case of the offerings in the town, or like the person commented about renovations. Like St. George's is wonderful. There are incredible shops. There are fantastic restaurants. Like I like Tamara said, it needs to be locals as well.
One thing, St. George's, you better pay us all this marketing you're getting today.
Let me call my cousin, the mayor.
Cousin Mayor, you better come make it happen. Cousin Mayor, you've been on the show. You know what it is. Rick Olsen Kills.
Kind of late for this discussion for this year. So what is the BTA and our tourism minister really doing? St. George's deserves better. Yes. What was the contingency plan? That's what I want to know. Because surely there was a plan A, B, C, D.
Let's get through as many comments as possible. Sonia Clark says, St. George's sells Bermuda ferry. It don't matter. Why do we separate St. George's from Bermuda? This is not right. I agree. Shaid says, I've driven people from St. Regis who are frustrated that there is no ferry option to Hamilton. We have Nicole Walker says, yes, it was Christmas 2020. And Dr. Pierman says, yes, it also was Christmas 2020 you're discussing. Shaid says, it's very disappointing that the government has made this move at the height of the season. Let's bring Liana into the conversation. It's a very interesting topic because I've stated numerous times, I think St. George's is probably one of the most attractive parts of Bermuda that we market and promote. And so from that standpoint, if you're going to market and promote it, then you need to make sure that the opportunity is there for people that you're marketing and promoting it to, is there to enjoy it. So but on the other side, I am on the side where other businesses able to develop their own strategy without government or the BTA necessarily giving them anything? Are they able to develop their own strategy? Maybe invest in a lease ferry or something like that. So I think it's an interesting conversation that must continue. But I do feel for the businesses in St. George who are relying on this.
Yeah, I just feel like the businesses ultimately, and I say this because I know a number of business owners, ultimately, like, so much pressure is put on them to fix it. And I just don't think that's right. No one's asking businesses in Dockyard to fix things, or Hamilton.
Good morning, Lee. Excuse our manners.
I'm enjoying this. I am enjoying this. But I totally agree with you. It's not on the owners of the shops down there to fix it. I feel like they've done all they can to create a buzz down there. Stop putting it on them. I mean, I actually take a drive to St. George's every single Sunday, and I live up the country.
And you make honestly,
you know how she is, right?
you make holler at me. Like,
you're right. I'm gonna take that one. But I honestly, it's one of my favorite places to take a drive down there. It's peaceful. It's buzzing. I mean, the restaurants are always busy. I mean, it's a really wonderful place to go and just take a drive down there. So it's not on the owners to figure that out. Not at this juncture. Not in 2021.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, you know, I want people to understand, before we even had our St. George's loving resident on the show, I've always been a fan of St. George's. So I know people are like, oh, no, nah, you all know I've been a fan of St. George's. And I just think that St. George's defines so much of what the island is. And I agree with the audience. And I just hope that conversations like this will help move the needle. I want to ask you both a question before we get to the news break. Do you think this season's lost to the point where forget it and let's just focus on next year?
We have the same answer.
Yeah,
I do. It's late in the game. When you look at it, it's the middle of July. Season starts in May or the end of April sometimes. So I feel like, you've missed the mark on this one. By the time club match is over, you've got August, and then pretty much it.
Alrighty, well, look, we're going to get to the news break. And after the news break, we have Chief Inspector Robert Cardwell joining us for another important conversation regarding road safety. In truth, the police should not have to do this. This is personal responsibility, as we've discussed, but I'm thankful for the conversation that we're about to have today. Lee, over to you.
Thanks, Jamala, Michaela, and good morning to all of those who are tuned in with us today. I hope everyone is having a great start to their day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for our daily hour news break. Well, after many hours of the island being on edge in anticipation of the outcome of a mother and father's refusal to go to a mandatory quarantine facility, the government revealed last night that they will move towards in charging the couple. Now, in a joint statement with police, the ministry said that Sophia Cannonier and her husband, Michael Watson, had arrived at the airport on Sunday with their 2 children in breach of quarantine orders against COVID-19. The family was said to have an approved travel authorization and presented documents of possessing antibodies against the virus rather than proof of vaccination. However, a spokeswoman said that the antibody documents were not recognized by Bermuda authorities. Pressure group, the Bermuda Freedom Alliance, have said that they will stand by the family until the very end on Sunday night, when a number of officers and health officials arrived at the Cannonier Watson home. Now, lawyer Mark Daniels is said to be representing the family. Meanwhile, the U.S. CDC has improved the travel health notice for Bermuda to level 1, which states that there is a low level of COVID-19 in Bermuda and is, in effect, the best ranking the CDC can give. In other news, it was just a week ago that the Bermuda Police Service launched Operation Vega, and they have reported almost 220 traffic tickets have been issued since its inception. Providing an update, Assistant Commissioner of Police Martin Weeks yesterday said that the initiative highlighted the extent of undesirable behavior, which is a major cause for concern on the island's roads. Now, in one instance, a driver was clocked at driving 100 kilometers. Out of the tickets issued, police say that 41 were for speeding offenses and 23 for disobeying traffic signs. Others included driving without due care and attention, unfastened helmets, and driving while using a cell phone. Now, 9 stolen bikes were also recovered during the first week's operation, and 5 were arrested for drink driving. In addition to these traffic offenses, police say that they will once again crack down on custom license plates. Those driving with illegal license plates run the risk of having their vehicles impounded until correct plates are put on or license will be withdrawn. The assistant commissioner said that the aim of Operation Vega is not to be punitive, but rather to encourage drivers to adhere to the regulations and reduce the incidence of overall road traffic collisions, specifically preventing overall serious, critical, and fatal injuries. Workers at SAL have returned to work after management and the Bermuda Industrial Union reached an agreement to end a 5-day work stoppage. Now, the union said that they would return to the job, although the outstanding issue of pay for the time the workers were off the job will go to the Employment and Labor Relations Tribunal for resolution. 15 staff from the SAL Southampton down tools last week over what they said to be a threat to fire a long-standing garage supervisor at the facility. Now, BIU said that both parties agreed that the manager would be placed on administrative leave while an investigation is conducted around the complaint of alleged bullying and harassment made by the union members. They also agreed there would be no retaliation by the company against the Bermudian contract workers who came out in support of the unionized workers over those 5 days. And a government benefit program for Bermudians left unemployed by COVID-19 will continue to be offered until May 2022. Minister of Labor Jason Hayward said that a recent labor force survey had highlighted the impact of the pandemic and the ongoing need for support. Now, he said that the supplemental benefits program, which is separate from the main COVID-19 unemployment benefit, included a means test to ensure that the available funds go to those in need. The supplementary unemployment benefit scheme had been scheduled to conclude at the end of last month. Turning to today's weather, we have a high near 84 and a low near 77 degrees. We can expect increasing cloud towards the evening with developing showers. There is a high pressure center just to our northwest, and while we will see plenty of sunshine during today, pressures continue to cool after sunset and the cloud will dissipate. By Wednesday, the high will slowly drift westwards and a low will sink in from the north, allowing wet spells to move into our area. That's all for our Daily Hour news break. Let's head back to Jamel and Michaela in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
Alrighty, thanks so much for that, Lee. So I'm going to put you both on the spot. So much to take in from that news break. So I want to touch on this comment, and I'm going to say this live on the air. Rick Olson says, "Congrats to the the Daily Hour." He means. No Trevor Noah here. But congrats, you all are doing an excellent job and much improved. And I want to just say that these guys have made it so much easier. And this includes Sherry and Larry as well. I remember Larry came on and Michaela and I, we watch sport, we're well in tune, but he had a different insight and perspective. I'm going to share another thing. Michaela pretty much writes all the questions. I steal her stuff. So she writes a lot of this show. And I really, really can't thank her enough. And then with Leanna, it's just been a breath of fresh air. And, I have pulled back from complimenting you publicly because sometimes people take compliments as if it's a shot at someone else, and it's not. Like, you guys have just done an awesome job. People are receiving you well, and I just want to say thank you. It's been over a month or almost 2 with you, Lee, but let's just keep trying to improve and give our audience what they desire. So on that note, let's take a quick break. Enjoy the rest of your day, Lee.
Thank you. And I love our unisons this morning.
Yeah.
Look at the black tie. I finally got the memo.
I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing.
Don't put her on the spot like that. Do not put her on the spot like that.
Hey, I'll tell him at the end.
Thanks so much. We see you tomorrow.
Have a good day. Bye.
Alrighty. All right, we're gonna be right back with Chief Inspector Robert Cardwell. And don't forget, we have the daily play later. Remember, if you guess before Michaela, you win something big. It's kind of tough because she's really good, folks, but stick with us.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stocking.
Karen, Miss Soltis read her bed again.
Oh gosh, these days I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. We're spotlighting our old friends Woodstock Farms, who started up 50 years ago in the belief that we need more trustworthy natural food sources. Starting with one product, their line, mostly certified organic, is now more than 250 strong in 10 categories. This month we're featuring accoutrements of the barbecue, for us the pinnacle of home cuisine and one of the few forms of restorative recreation now within our reach. Try Woodstock Organic Sweet Relish, Tomato Ketchup, Baby Kosher Dill Pickles, Sauerkraut, and Hickory and Original Barbecue Sauce. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back to the big show. She's Michaela Ian. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can watch this and many other locally produced shows. Channel 82 actually streams 24/7. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day, Chief Inspector Robert Cardwell. I just looked at my phone and it's all about the road safety. So a lot of questions coming from there. But let's welcome Chief Inspector Robert Cardwell to the show. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Daily Hour, and thank you very much for having the Bermuda Police Service on your show.
Of course, friends of family, right? Let's get right to it. So before we get into Operation Vega and, I guess, the details of today's conversation, just speak to us. What is the most alarming thing about what's happening on Bermuda's roads right now to the Bermuda Police Service?
Yeah, I mean, recently, since we've come out of the lockdown and the restrictions have been lifted, collisions just went through the roof. And that causes a heightened level of concern. Serious injury collisions, people getting really seriously hurt and broken bones and head injuries and spending some time in ICU. That became, we passed the horrendous levels, and we then assessed this. And we're also paying attention to social media. We're tuned into social media. We get complaints coming into the department all the time about people's bad driving and riding experiences on the road. And it doesn't matter whether you're a rider, a driver, or a pedestrian. Everybody's complaining and saying, listen, things are so bad out here. They're shouting at the police. They're saying, hey, we want you to come and do something about this. And you know what? We want it now because we need our roads back. We need our safety increased. So we've been looking at this and we've assessed it. And certainly it got all the way to the highest levels of the police with the commissioner's office. And the commissioner looked at it and he said, you know what? Because of the volume of people that are being impacted by this, I'm going to declare this a critical incident. Now, what that means, a critical incident in the police environment, means that this is going to get our full attention. And it'll be one of the highest priorities for the entire organization. So what we did is we launched Operation Vega. It has been rolled out across the organization as a high priority. And, but, you know, it's only a week old. You know, last week we issued 219 tickets for driving offenses. So that just gives you some kind of heads up as to how bad the situation is. And that's a huge increase over our normal weekly figures for tickets. So because we're focusing on this and we're giving this all of our attention, we've asked our officers to be on heightened alert. Things like, you know, we've listed some target offenses that we want to definitely crack down on because we think that they're the prevalent. So things like helmet offenses, not having your helmet fastened. You know what? That's a huge safety issue. Time and time again, we turn up at accidents and the victim's laying in the road and the helmet has come off. The helmet's not even on their head. And they've got a head injury. So you know what we're saying? You know what? We're going to drive up this safety measure and we're going to enforce the helmet legislation. It is a fixed penalty fine. On the fines, the fines have got the commissioner's attention and certainly had my attention when I was head of roads policing. We believe that the fixed penalty fines are not substantial enough. So when you take into consideration something like blowing a red light or blowing a stop sign, it's a $50 fine.
Right. Okay. Can we do a quick pause? Just because I don't want you to tell all the things at the beginning. And can you turn and look at us so our audience can see your face? Yes. Much better.
Go ahead, Kale. Sorry.
All right. So for those who aren't aware, because there are people who don't watch the news, don't read the newspaper, Operation Vega, they don't know what it is. So can you give us like a brief overview of what it actually is?
Yeah, so it's an operation where we've deployed a strategy. It's called the Strategic Target Enforcement Program. And what it is we've listed some of the most prevalent offenses that are happening out on the roads. So that's the helmet offenses, driving without due care and attention, driving while talking on your cell phone, running stop signs and red lights. So we've told our officers be extra vigilant for these offenses, and they've been out there hammering those offenses as they come across them. I added 2 new offenses yesterday to the list, and one of them is speeding. Speeding is quite prolific on our roads. It's certainly one of the leading causes for collisions, people driving beyond their skill. Right. And the other offense we added, and we've put this out in the media because it's a no surprises approach. Number plate offenses. There are far too many cars driving around with the black plates with white letters. They are completely illegal plates. And the problem that we have with license plates not being uniform is our cameras don't pick them up. So
I wondered about that.
Yeah, so we have to have uniformity in license plate. So here's what will happen. If you're driving around with one of those illegal plates on, your car is going to get impounded. And we're going to give you an option to switch the plates out and put the right plates on, or we're going to make a phone call to TCD, and they're going to come and they're going to withdraw the vehicle license. And that means you've got to have your car tested again.
Right. Okay. So now that you've explained what Operation Vega is, what is the main goal behind it?
The main goal is to reduce the number of collisions that we're experiencing on the roads. That's the number one priority for the organization, is that we have to get a handle on these collisions. Right now in the police service, we've got probably well over 100 collisions under simultaneous investigation. Now you have to understand that's really, really time consuming. And whilst we're consumed investigating these collisions, we're not out there doing the other stuff that we need to be on the road doing, such as paying attention to our gangs and the other, and you know what, other crimes are climbing as well. Assaults, serious assaults, domestic disputes, thefts, burglaries. These things are all still going on, and we have to give all of these things our undivided attention.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So what do you say to those in the community who feel like this kind of policing is overkill?
Well, like the assistant commissioner said yesterday, you know what? Being punitive is not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is change behavior. And we are law enforcers. That's our job. It's our job to enforce the law. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, it's not nice to hand somebody a ticket with a fine on it. It's not something that gives us any kind of pleasure. The pleasure comes in the fact that we may have changed somebody's driving behavior and they might correct themselves going forwards.
Very interesting. Okay. And then I know this might be slightly controversial, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So is Operation Vega more focused on criminalizing citizens rather than protecting them?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a balancing act. What we try to do in the police service all the time is we try to balance, and everything has to be proportionate. So whilst there are people out there getting tickets with fines on them, they're also issuing motorist advice notices. Motorist advice notice is just that. It's a notice to say, I've seen you exhibiting this kind of driving behavior, and going forward, you need to correct it. And it's a warning. There's no fine attached to it. So we're balancing issuing tickets with fines and motorist advice notices.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So I know last week the commissioner talked about working with the Minister of Transport, read the roadside sobriety notices. But like Jamal and I clashed on that last week because I don't feel like people should know where the police are going to be and when they're going to be there, because then they'll just plan their night, they'll leave earlier, they'll stop drinking ahead of time and go home. So are you guys actively working with the Minister of Transport on this, or is that kind of like a pipe dream?
No, it's absolutely not. It's got the commissioner's attention. We've done roadside sobriety testing twice in the last month. The first occasion, we got one impaired driver. On the second occasion, we got no one. And we put that down to, you know what, we've advertised where we are. So you can plan your driving route from your location and be able to drive around us. You don't have to come through one of our stop checks. Now, having said that, we have caught impaired drivers outside of our roadside sobriety checkpoints. So they are still out there. They're just not coming through our checkpoints. And we think that giving notice as to where we are is counterproductive. And the steps to do that is, first of all, we have to apply to the magistrate for permission to do it. Once the magistrate gives us permission, then we have to advertise it in the Royal Gazette, and that includes all of our locations. And I think what the commissioner wants to do is he wants to say, you know what, I want to have this power all the time without having to go to the magistrate. So if today I decide, I'm going to do roadside sobriety testing tonight, I can go ahead and do it without having to see patients. And I think that if we can increase that activity, we did see collisions reduce. Last year we had 6 road traffic fatalities for the entire year, albeit we're up to 6 already now. But we think that roadside sobriety checks certainly contributed to that number falling. We've been recording 15, 16, 17 road traffic fatalities annually. Those figures are way too high. The other thing that the commissioner is, he's having that conversation with the minister. The other thing he's having the conversation with the minister about is about our fixed penalties. I just mentioned it. They're disproportionate, and they're not heavy enough. So, for example, the way they've been written, they don't make any sense. So you can blow a red light and a stop sign, it's a $50 fine. Now, let me take you to one of our youth riders, a 16-year-old. A 16-year-old is prohibited from towing a passenger. If they tow a passenger, the fixed penalty is $300 for the rider and for the passenger.
Really?
That doesn't make any sense. That's a really hefty fine for towing somebody. You can blow a red light and it's a $50 fine. So we've made a recommendation to the minister, or the commissioner's having that meeting, it might be today, to say, listen, we should increase all the fines to $300, every single one. So having no driver's license is a $100 fine. That's somebody that hasn't even bothered to go to TCD and take a test, and they're driving on our road. So we increase that. So that's something. I'm meeting with the Road Safety Council this afternoon, and I'm going to be driving this home with the Road Safety because I want to approach this from 2 different ways. So the commissioner is going to have that meeting with the minister, and hopefully the Road Safety Council will jump on board. And they'll have many meetings with the minister. Fixing fixed penalties appeared in the throne speech in 2015 because I was battling with the then Minister of Transport to get it done, and he agreed. They went in the throne speech, and then nothing happened. It didn't get fixed. So, and it's not a complicated process. To increase the fixed penalties, all that's required is we go to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice signs off on the increased penalties, and they get gazetted, and that's it. Boom, they're in play.
Yeah, so it's interesting you brought up the $100 no license, because when I first was a reporter decade plus ago, I thought it was you're getting a $100 fine because you're not carrying your license on you while you're driving. I didn't realize until a little while later that it was literally you can't be bothered to go to TCD and pass your driver's license, but you're out driving a car, and that's all you get. That's it. Yeah, $100.
We have some wonderful technology now. No, there is no requirement in law for you to carry your driver's license while you're driving your car. It's not required. We have some wonderful technology now. We can stop you, ask you your name, and I can bring up your photograph on a device. I can see exactly who I'm talking to. And those devices are deployed across the service, and they're used quite frequently because they're really helpful. I mean, they can be driving around behind your car and punch your number in on your car, and they can see if there's any warrants.
So I listen intently to both of you. Obviously, Michaela already said we disagreed last week. But there's a factor that I think is being forgotten, and I'm all for safety. I'm all for the change behavior. I actually vehemently supported the idea of the sobriety checks because I believe that we need to, make sure people are changing their behavior. But a couple of questions. I have more than a couple, but one was, and I think someone asked it here, Sean Smith. CI Cardwell. So advertising the road sobriety test has not been a deterrent for people. Would you agree that it did not deter people? It just made people, as Michaela said, change the times that they drank?
Yeah, no, I think they changed their routes. We can tell you we're going to be on Mill Road, and you can take South Shore, and you avoid us. So, I think it is I don't think it's helping with the deterrent value for roadside sobriety testing. I think it's working against us. Okay,
and see, somebody beat me to it. Tamara Richardson, this is where I was going. She said, it all sounds like excellent ideas, but in practice, there's a danger to over-police a specific group, specifically Black males. How is this balanced with the need for safety?
Yeah, I don't think the road safety strategy is targeting any particular person. It's targeting driving behaviors. So it targets everybody. So it's not specific to any group. It's certainly not in our program. It's certainly not part of our strategy. And you know what? It's everybody's driving badly, whether you're white, you're black, you're young, you're old, and we're clamping down on it all. So there is no targeting of any specific group. Let me be very clear on that.
All right. History, as Elmore Warren says, history shows that road fatalities have not changed since the 70s. Why would you say?
Well, you know what? We watch fatalities go like this on the charts. They go up, they go down. Right now, we're on a decline. Certainly, last year, 6 road fatalities is one of the lowest we've had in probably 20 years, definitely. Why they go up and down, I don't know. How long is a piece of string?
Sean Smith, that's actually a good idea. He says, when are you guys, I'm guessing police, going to start carrying card machines so I can pay my fine on the spot instead of getting arrested?
Yeah, I mean, getting arrested for a traffic offense is pretty extreme. You can only be arrested, well, you can be arrested for any traffic offense, but we don't arrest everybody for any traffic offense. Disqualified driving, you're going to see yourself arrested and taken into custody. I mean, one of the things, conversations that I'm hoping the commissioner will have with the minister when he's talking about fixed penalties. Right now, I can issue you a fixed penalty up to 54 kilometers an hour for speeding. I would like to see that we have fixed penalties put in place for speeding all the way up to 60 kilometers an hour. I think that would be helpful for a lot of reasons. One, it will reduce the impact on the courts. The courts are so overwhelmed with speeders. When you go in there on a Tuesday and a Thursday, traffic, it's 100 people in there.
Yeah.
But if we can start issuing fixed penalties where, you know what, you don't have to go to court, you can just go into court and pay it like a parking ticket. We think that would reduce the impact on the courts. So, you know, hopefully that's a conversation we're going to have about introducing new fixed penalties.
Yeah, no, that's what I was actually going to bring up, because it's insane in plea court when the entire session is dominated by people with speeding tickets, when if you could just pay it downstairs, it would just make life so much easier.
Indeed.
Yeah, great.
You mentioned that it was 6 last year, and then there's been 6 already this year. But wouldn't last year, because we were on lockdown most of the year, wouldn't you consider that, like, I'm not saying prorated, probably doesn't come out nice, but it's not necessarily a decent comparison, you know, because there were less because of the lockdown? Would you say that impacted the numbers and kept them lower?
No, I don't know. I mean, that's been a constant dilemma since we got on Operation Vega. Is we're comparing 2020 figures to 2021. People saying, yeah, but we were on lockdown. I don't know. Did it contribute to lower fatality? Probably. But we were only on lockdown for 2 months, 3 months.
A month. It was 4 weeks.
Yeah,
it was just a month. But there was a curfew, extended curfew.
The curfew helped, but it didn't help collisions. So sadly, you know, we had the curfew, and we could almost predict if the curfew was 10 o'clock, that at 9:45, we're going to have an accident called in because somebody's rushing home, trying to beat the curfew, and crashed into a wall, or crashed into a tree, or crashed into somebody else. And that was almost a nightly occurrence with the curfew.
Yeah. I have a question coming through about the how does it make it the roads safer, and how does it change behavior regarding the license plates? You know, that's the question that came in.
Well, the license plates are linked to our cameras, and our cameras are what we rely on to observe behavior. So it's nice to see a car, you know, doing something silly, but I can't tell you what the license number of that car is because the camera won't pick it up. So that's part of changing behavior, is that, you know what, and we have the laws of the land, and everybody needs to obey the laws, whether it's stopping at a stop sign or having the correct license plate on your car. We have these laws in place for a reason, and I think we're just trying to change behavior generally to, listen, apply all the laws to your driving and riding behavior.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you, and I think I've said this last week when we discussed it. I've said it numerous times that I think it comes down to, you know, individual and personal responsibility. I don't think that adults should have to be policed in operating a vehicle. It's pretty, you know, if you're late, you're going to be late. You know, don't risk your life to be late. So I agree with that. But I must say, and I appreciate what you said today, it does make me a bit uncomfortable to give the police more powers without going to the government. I get the point. Like, you don't, you know, it's almost like from a tourism perspective, before the BTA, they had to go to the government just to simply do a marketing campaign almost, right? So I get that you can just do things and get them done fast, but just knowing, and I know it's different from New York, but we're very familiar what happened with New York under Bloomberg and the stop and frisk, and it's not the same. I'm not saying it's the exact same. It just gives me those vibes, per se. You get me? It gives me those vibes, and so my hope is that whatever the goal is, it doesn't shift that way. It doesn't shift that way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're certainly cautious about is that we don't abuse our powers. And we have, obviously we have huge powers, especially when we're dealing with people. But we're certainly very careful that we're not abusing our powers, that we're being, cautious. But riding and driving, when you get on your bike or in your car, it's about making decisions. And what we're trying to do is have people make the right decisions. That is, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive it properly. I'm going to obey the law. I'm going to get to where I need to go safely. That's what we want. We don't need guys jumping on bikes and overtaking cars on the inside. That's just crazy. The collisions that we're seeing cars cutting off bikes and crashing. We're seeing bikes running into the back of each other. These things are all things that we need to get a handle on, and just, have people say, hey, when you get in your car, just take 10 seconds, take a deep breath, understand what you're about to do, that you are driving a lethal weapon, and drive it carefully. That's what we want.
That's so true. A car can legit be a lethal weapon when you're not operating it sober, when you're not operating it in a responsible manner. Chief Inspector Cardwell, before you go, if there's one thing you can say to the Bermudian people, even if it's not them, it could be a family member or a child, about operating a vehicle and being safe on the roads, what would it be?
Be responsible. Be responsible about your own behavior, and don't frighten other people that are on the road, sharing the roads with you. And remember that having a driver's license is not a right, it's a privilege. The privilege can be taken away from you, can be withdrawn. So bear that in mind. I think we all love our transportation. We like to be able to jump on the bike or jump in the car and drive off to where we need to go. But imagine if that privilege was taken away from you and you were disqualified. It would hurt you.
Yeah. Chief Inspector Robert Cardwell from the Bermuda Police Service, thank you so much for taking the time to come on our platform and have this conversation. We appreciate it. And please know, if you already know, if you need our platform again, just reach out.
Thank you, sir. And I really appreciate you having us. Thank you very much.
No problem. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Bye.
All righty. Thanks again to Chief Inspector Robert Cardwell and the Bermuda Police Service for trusting our platform to have these kinds of conversations. Michelle White just comment real quickly. She said, it also seems like trucks are driving extra carelessly. They are operating a weapon. I think the consensus, a lot of people are talking about. Michelle Smith-Kales, if you want to read that.
Fines should be connected to the vehicle also, just in case the driver or rider does not pay. So when one goes to TCD, they must pay all outstanding fines first. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a lot of, not complaints, but issues with how fines are paid. But we are running out of time. Want to say something else on that, Chaos?
No, I was just saying it's a waste of time for everyone when you literally have to spend your entire afternoon sitting in a courtroom waiting for your name to get called to pay a speeding ticket. Like, that's outrageous to me.
I mean, the solution to that is not to speed, folks. I'm just saying. But look, we're going to take a quick break. Do not go anywhere. If you guess the answers before Michaela, we may actually give you a voucher to go shopping somewhere. So, Kales, yes. It is time to take a commercial break. Do not go anywhere, folks. We're going to be right back. Stick with us.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio. Tune in every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams. Only on your station for conversations and entertainment. BCG Radio. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices.
All righty, welcome back to the big show. She is Michaela, and I'm Jamal Hartman. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House, Lindo's, everyone who continues to support what we're doing. Channel 82 over there, Crimson Multimedia, and thanks to the Bermuda Police Service and the Chief Inspector Robert Cardwell for coming on today. Appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's conversation, from the discussion earlier about St. George's to the conversation with Chief Inspector Cardwell, you know what to do. Give us some love, a thumbs up, a love, a like. Let us know what you thought of the conversations, and feel free to engage with us on social media as well. Kales, it's question time.
Let's go.
You ready? Oh, she's ready. All right. The Daily Play brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Here is the question. What year did Cedar Bridge Academy open its doors to students for the first time?
Oh, Jesus. 1997.
Wow. I thought we had her, folks. Danica,
I almost said 96, but I was like, nope, because I left the island in 98, and it was the year before we left.
See, there's always something, folks. Honestly, I don't notice stuff like her, how she connects herself to these things, but she got it right again. Congratulations to Michaela. Kales, any final thoughts on today's show, like discussion and the conversation with Chief Inspector Cardwell?
I would like the government, and I'm not going to say the BTA, I would say the government, to do whatever it needs to do to ensure that St. George's businesses don't suffer, because it really irritates me as a person who's from St. George's, who lives in St. George's, who's in the town all the time. It infuriates me that St. George's is always left behind, always on the back burner, and it's not up to the businesses to do whatever needs to be done. A. B, personal responsibility on the roads. Let's slow down. Like, there's no reason for us to, I can't remember who commented earlier, but we're in a rush to nowhere because this island's this big. Like, it's not that serious.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I probably would disagree a bit in St. George's, and this is why. I would say in times like this, I think it's imperative that we put ourselves and develop strategies so that we don't have to rely on government or the BTA. That's not to say that the government shouldn't play a role. It's more or less saying that, you know what, let's go back to the drawing board and figure out what we can do with what we have. I think, I don't have the answers. These are just suggestions based on what I know and don't know, folks. So don't take it like I'm attacking it. I'm just simply saying, let's work together to see if there's opportunities. St. Regis, a new Marriott hotel in the area. Are they willing to go in with the local businesses to kind of create, find their own resources to make it work for the old town? I think, when we start to put our heads together and brainstorm, there may be opportunities within that space. As far as road safety, again, I can't repeat it enough. Personal responsibility. I truly believe, I'm of the mindset where I don't like to be late. Like, Michaela holds me up about this, folks. Like, she'll be like, not mine, it's been her lately, but she'll be like, where you at? And I had an old boss, Elroy Smith, right? And Elroy used to always say, to be on time is to be late.
Yeah.
And so I have this thing where if I'm very apologetic if I'm late. Now, the only reason I'd be late is if I'm double booked or one meeting runs over. Like,
right. So
my point in saying that, folks, is if you're late, you're late.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rush it.
It is.
Do not rush it. And, I used to be called a Sunday driver. Well, she used to call me grandpa. I don't think I'm a Sunday driver. I just, I'm not in a rush in a car anymore. Like, I'm not in a rush to go anywhere. I'm not saying be like me, but if I can do it, we all can do it. And we deserve to treat ourselves and others on the roads with a level of respect that we would want to be treated in any other manner. Kales, you got any inspiration for us today?
I sure do. This one comes from the fabulous Estee Lauder. I never dreamed about success. I worked for it.
I love that one. Some people remain dreaming, but others, they get up and
they just take action. Let's do it. Let's go do it.
Absolutely. Well, Kales, another showdown. Any final thing you want to say to the audience before we head out?
Oh, let me just tell you all a quick one. So this morning when I got on the show, I had on a white shirt I saw Jamal and Leanna had on black. And literally, like, we were 30 seconds before live, and I was like, let me change my shirt real quick. So we all were in sync.
She certainly did rush right back on the camera with a black shirt right before we came on, folks. But fun times out here. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linders for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back again tomorrow, one day closer to St. George's, taking that cup back. Yes, I did say that. My friends, she's Michaela Ian. I'm Jamal Hartman. Make it a great day. Peace.
This is